All right, what's going on? This is actually take two of this video for some reason, and like halfway through my last take, it stopped recording. So I'm a little frustrated, but it's all right. You gotta do what you gotta do. I actually didn't intend on making a YouTube video tonight at all, which is another reason I'm frustrated because I wanted to get it out of the way. Simply because I just watched a little basketball game between Ohio State and Duke. That was very, very interesting to say the least. If you didn't watch it, you missed out on a game that, for the most part, was pretty bad, and then at the end, it got very, very good, very exciting. This game, even though it's in November, December-ish, um, and most of the time, games that happen around this part of the year don't have a huge impact on the season. This game might. It was an odd game to say the least. Of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, an unranked Ohio State team defeated the previously undefeated number one team in the nation, Duke Blue Devils, who just beat Gonzaga, the previous number one team in the nation, just last Friday. So let's get into it. Before I really get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, the Three Wine Podcast, a podcast we record every week. Me and buddies. Came out when this video comes out. Will come out came out 2 days ago on Monday. Make sure you go check that out. It is also on the YouTube channel as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And go follow us on every single social media. We are on every single social media under Three Wine Sports. Um, let's get right into this because there's a lot to unpack. First off, I want to start with the first half because that's the beginning of the game. And this half was the half that Duke controlled the game big time. I mean, it was sort of close at the beginning, and by sort of close, I mean Duke was holding on to a 6-7 point lead for the majority of the time. And as the game kind of went on, Duke kind of stretched out their lead, really started to outplay Ohio State. Ohio State looked really, really rough in the first half, and by really, really rough, I mean they looked like a team that could not beat anybody. And Duke was not playing good at all, and they were beating them pretty badly at one point. I think they were up 14 or 15, and they were playing bad. Ohio State was playing really bad, and what I mean by that is they were turning the ball over almost every single time down the court. Not a single player on the team, none of the guards, not a single player looked like they could dribble the ball halfway up the court. The full press by Duke, the full court press by Duke was working. I don't know why they ended up going away from it, but in my opinion, it was working pretty well. I don't have the exact statistics on the amount of points scored against the full court press, but they were doing that in the first half, and they were winning by a large margin in the first half, and then they went away from it in the second half, and at the end of the first half, and that's when it kind of started to fall apart for them. So maybe Coach K will look at this game going forward and figure the full court press is the best method. Maybe the players didn't think they could consistently run the full court press. I don't know, but I think they should have stuck with it. But as far as Ohio State goes in the first half, turned the ball over a ton, couldn't dribble. Number 25 on the team, and I'll get his name real quick. He played a lot of minutes. Kyle Young was the most frustrating player I've ever watched. Every time the ball would come off the rim, instead of going up for a rebound, he would go up for a tip, and he would try to tip it back. Almost every single time, tipping it back to a Duke player. Several times Duke scored off this. He ended up getting taken out and not playing a lot in the second half, but he played a lot in the first half, and he was frustrating me. And then, of course, E.J. Liddell, their star player for Ohio State, was not doing crazy numbers offensively. He ended up with 14 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. Very impactful night for him, but as far as the first half goes, his scoring output was just not there. Um, it really, really through the first half, I didn't think this was going to be close. In fact, at one point, it looked like it was trending to a 20-plus point win for Duke, and then halftime hit, and then we come back from halftime. I guess I can talk about what Duke was doing in the first half. Apart from that full court press, they were simply just scoring at a higher rate than they would end up scoring in the second half. I mean, and by that I mean they weren't even doing well in the first half as far as that goes. But in the second half, it looked like they forgot how to play basketball. Um, Duke in the first half was not great by any means, but I mean they were again significantly better than they were in the second half. Halftime hits, we get to the second half. For the majority of the second half, it still looked like Duke had this game under control, but it went back to that original 6-7 point lead that they were holding on in the first majority of the first half. So they had kind of broken away from their dominant streak at the end of the first half. Of course, Bankero was in foul trouble early. He had to sit for the last 3 minutes of the first half, so with 3 fouls. So he was coming in the second half a little timid, and you could tell. And also, he's a guy that's been struggling with cramps throughout the whole season in the second half. So Banquero's kind of falling off in the second half this year. Great player, don't get me wrong, and probably the most talented player in the NCAA, in my opinion, as of right now. But he's falling off in the second half, and there could be several different reasons for this. Of course, the cramps I already mentioned. In this game, foul trouble may have had something to do with it, and maybe just the pressure's a little bit too big for him as Ohio State starts to catch up. He's not experienced in college basketball. I think he'll get better as the season goes on in the second half. And of course, Wendell Moore for Duke is consistent as he has been all season with 17 points. Of course, Banchero finished with 14, which it definitely isn't Banchero numbers. I mean, he had 20 in the first half against Gonzaga, finished with 21, which leads to my point that he is falling off in the second half of games. But again, I think that's going to fix itself throughout the year. However, it would have been nice for Duke if he had have picked it up. Of course, I was ecstatic that Ohio State won. I'm a Kentucky fan. You really can't see anything on my back wall in this setting of Kentucky stuff, but I have Kentucky stuff all over the room. I don't like Duke. um, what really changed the momentum in the second half, and I tweeted this out. I mean, moments before it happened, I felt like a psychic. I said the key to beating Duke is attacking their front court. Mark Williams isn't bad, and he had a good night against Gonzaga last Friday night. He didn't do anything crazy in this game, but he's just not a crazy good player. Obviously, compared to a guy like me, he is. But in for Duke, he's not a crazy good front court guy, and neither is Theo John, who didn't get a ton of run in this game. I think Mark Williams is starting to really take over those minutes. But yeah, I was like, the best way to beat Duke is to attack their front court, and I mean moments after I did that, Ohio State started to feed Zed Key in the paint, and I mean when I mean feed, I mean every single time up the court. He was killing Duke, killing Duke. Mark Williams could not guard him. His pump fake was putting Williams in the air every single time. His post took every single time. Very very good touch in the paint. I don't know. I mean, blame me for not following Ohio State very closely. He was their best player tonight for sure. And when it came down to it, he was who inched away that Duke lead as the game went on, and marked it down to 3 or 4 points. And then I'm starting to think, everyone's starting to think Ohio State has a chance to win this game, and we keep moving, and then boom, a three is hit, and I believe the three was who was it? Cedric Russell, who did not play a ton in this game. I believe he went 3 for 3 from three, hit a monster three in the corner to tie it. I want to say either tie it or put him down barely. And from then on, it was all Ohio State. Ohio State scored on the last couple of possessions. E.J. Liddell, previously mentioned, hit a huge mid-range shot. I was screaming. I was like, that's a horrible shot. I mean, it was rough. He was contested. I think the ball may have gotten tipped as he went up. I mean, it was just not a good shot. It was he drove against Wendell Moore and took that shot where he could have probably kept going and taken a layup against a significantly smaller Moore, but he took that mid-range shot, which is his bread and butter. Don't get me wrong, but it was a bad shot, and he put it up and he put it in, and that was a huge moment, huge moment. I think that was the shot that tied it. I think the three put him down 2, and I think that was the shot that tied it. And then they knocked down a couple free throws. Ohio State's up. And at the end, of course, foul, a couple more free throws. Ohio State ends up winning by 5, and Duke is no longer going to be your number 1 seed in the nation. What does this mean for the remainder of the college basketball season? I said it has some meaning. It doesn't have a lot. Of course, Duke is still going to be a premier program all year long. Teams that hit that number 1 spot usually stick in the top 10. You never know how far they'll fall eventually, but I have a feeling they're going to be pretty good all year, whereas Ohio State, I don't have that feeling with them. They lost to a Xavier team that I am very, very low on. What does this mean for Duke? Well, I think it just shows how open this year in basketball is. There's no crazy great team. I think that title may still belong to Gonzaga, but I mean they struggled against Tarleton State the other night. So who's really the favorite to win it all? I don't know. I think Kentucky beats Duke right now if they do what I said to do for Ohio State and feed the paint. Oscar Tshiebwe is going to put Mark Williams in a bad spot. It's going to be rough for him if he's going up against a Sheboy style player. If you know, but that Calipari has to coach, and that doesn't happen all the time. Um, but yeah, I mean, this doesn't mean a ton. This means that it's all up in the air. Of course, Purdue is going to slide to your number one spot. And I was watching Purdue tonight. They're very good, and they're the kind of team where you have and I think it may have been Jay Billis that said it. Could be wrong. Where you have an overflowing, you have holes in your fish tank or whatever, and you only have 10 fingers. Well, you got 11 holes, and Purdue has 20 holes. They are unbelievably good. I think they're probably the most polished team in basketball right now. So it's all up in the air. There's several very good teams, several contending teams, but I love to see this. Not only because I don't like Duke, I don't really like Ohio State either, but I love to see this simply because it means that there's no crazy favorite, and college basketball is fun to watch again. So thanks for watching this video. If you're a Duke fan, I'm sorry. Not really sorry, but I'm sorry. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. Go check out the podcast. Anything else we have on the channel, we're gonna be posting. I'm gonna be posting more consistently on the YouTube channel, whereas I hadn't previously before. But yeah, thank you for watching, and go check us out on every social media through Wind Sports.